Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Joining us now is the great former governor of Illinois, the great Governor Rod Blagojevich. And Gov, we always love having you on. First, let's get to what you think about all this stuff with the DSA and also this sort of soft on crime approach they have. And then you got Governor Pritzker, who you can't almost make it up. He had somebody break into his yard, and the person was, guess what, a repeat offender who had multiple crimes.
Well, yes, thanks, Rita. Thanks for having me on. Before I do that, let me just explain that John Catsimatidis, Blagojevich isn't hard to say. It rhymes with Catsimatidis. So, at some point, he's going to get that right.
Guess what? Thank goodness I'm Cosby.
Where's it? Greece and Serbia are not that far apart.
Yeah, oh, there you go.
We're cousins. God bless the Greeks. So listen.
Yes, we're first cousins at least.
Yes. The Democratic Party has been taken over by the Socialists. Socialism is a virus now that is spreading like COVID in the Democratic Party. Even moderate Democrats are afraid to make those socialists angry. The choice for the American people in this midterm election really is very simple. You see a Republican candidate, he's not the socialist. You see a Democratic candidate, no matter who he or she may be, that's the socialist. Because if the Democrats take control, it's that socialist wing that's going to drive that agenda and steal away our freedoms. With regard to the guy that jumped Pritzker's fence, that guy had 10 previous convictions. This is an example of the chickens come home to roost. J.B. Pritzker pushed this thing called the SAFE Act, no bail, no cash bail. He's been against law enforcement, Trump's efforts to send the National Guard and ICE to get rid of criminals out of Chicago and out of Illinois. Pritzker's fighting against that. And so now that happened to him. We don't want to see anything bad happen to him physically or his family, of course, but it is a great irony. It sums up what the challenge is here in Illinois and in Chicago with the kind of governing we have. And one thing about Pritzker, he used to be a moderate when he worked for me. Now he's the left-wing lunatic, Nepo baby, billionaire socialist because he's afraid of these people in his party who he's afraid might chop his head off.
Yeah, that's scary. Before we let you go also, Governor Blagojevich, talk about, there's a Fox Nation special that's coming up on you. It's called Blago. And I was watching the other night, you were with our friend Brian Kilmeade, I think, who was talking. And it was so powerful because I learned, we've all known you for a while. We love you. And to hear what you went through in prison was really extraordinary about who you were in prison with. Talk a little bit about that because a lot of people don't know what you experienced for so many years.
Well, thanks, Rita. And let me just say this, as I've said for a million times since it all came down on me, I didn't do it. It was all politics. Not crimes. Obama started. He wanted to make a political deal. He went to the White House for 8 years, and I went to the Big House for 8 years. It would have been 14 years had President Trump not rescued me. But I was sent to a higher prison where no governor's been. For the first nearly 3 years, I went from a 50,000 square foot governor's mansion to a 6 foot by 8 foot prison cell. I was in prison with Crips and Bloods, gangster disciples, Sinaloa cartel drug dealers who look up to the drug lord El Chapo like my daughters look up to Taylor Swift. There were men in there who committed murder, over 400 sex offenders. 2% of the 950 guys there were white collar, one governor, me. So I was in a real prison, and I spent time with guys named Socks and Smelly and Stinky and Sharky and Mr. B and G. They all had nicknames. A lot of them were, criminals, but not bad guys. And a lot of them were criminals and very bad guys. And I learned a lot. And it was really my faith in God, faith, hope, and love that brought me home. Above all, the excellence of love, that's St. Paul. First letter to Corinthians, chapter 13. My love for my family, I would never give in. I had my little girls back home no matter how long it took. In a sort of like the movie The Odyssey now, the Homeric book that Catsimatidis has probably read 50 times because it was a Greek author. My Odyssey took 8 years to get back to my family, but I was never, ever, ever not going to keep fighting and surviving and enduring to get back, especially to my little girls who by the time I came home had grown up.
Wow. You know what? The fact you're able to share that story, it's amazing what you went through, Governor. We love you, and I can't even imagine just what you've dealt with on 8 years there. That is just remarkable.
Michael Cohen, who is a host on WABC now, experienced the same thing when he went on a political. He ended up in prison in a political witch hunt.
It's terrible. It's so horrible, John. It really is. I mean, this political targeting This weaponization has to stop. It's horrible. Really horrible.
I haven't seen any Democrats go to prison.
Yeah, what a coincidence. Well,
me.
this one, him.
You're the only one. You're the only one.
That's because you crossed Obama.
Yeah, because you crossed, exactly.
Because you crossed Obama.
Exactly.
Well, I have a book coming out in the fall called Framed, Effed, and Freed, by the way, and it talks about how story starts with one President Obama, ends with another President Trump, and in between are all those guys I just talked about. Describes in details a lot of what happened, and it really is, I think, the beginning of the weaponization that began in America, which is a threat to our freedoms and the integrity of our elections, and that's the existential threat to our democracy. Because I truly believe that what they got away with doing to me at the AAA level to a Democrat governor, they were emboldened and felt they could do it to a Republican president at the major league level. And this is the greatest threat to our Constitution since the Civil War.
Wow. Well, listen, you got to come back and share more of that, too, also when your book comes out. You're always welcome. We love having you on. Former Governor Rod Blagojevich, once a governor, always a governor.
And what do we all stand for?
Truth, justice, and the American way.
God bless America. And let's go to Mark Levin. Show is already in progress.